guys, and welcome to Frights of Faewood. Mwah. Yeah, okay, I'm not very scary, am I? So today, what I wanted to do was to decorate this lantern that I have here. Now, don't get me wrong, I really love the look of this lantern, but I thought it would be a really cool project to turn a regular lantern into a spooky lantern. So that's what I want to do here. And I love the size of this lantern. It's just so beefy. It's really cool. So, a couple of ideas that I want to do this is to add a bit of flameage. Now, this was inspired by Adam Savage's video where he created his own electronics for his lantern and made a little flaming lantern and all of that. I'm not very good at electronics / I have no idea what I'm doing whatsoever at electronics, and this month is not the time for me to be learning how to solder electrical boards and things like that because I have way too many projects, hopefully, that we're going to get through this month. So instead, I'm going to do the cheats method, and also I thought this might be good for a lot of you guys who are in the same boat where you don't know how to do electronics and soldering and whatever else, or just want to do a really quick way to do it and use a globe instead. So you don't have to do anything for this except put it in there. But to make it look more realistic, similar to the way Adam Savage did, I will need to use like a frosted glass spray. They stuck a big sticker over it, so I can't really show you, but I'll link this one down below in case anyone wants to try the one I'm using. I haven't used this yet, so hopefully it turns out okay. But I also want to just make this look kind of cool. I want to do a bit of sculpting on it and add some elements to it that make it look a bit really gothic and, I don't know, Halloween-y and stuff like that. Add some elements. I thought I could maybe add some little feet, like monster feet down the bottom here. That would be really cool. Potentially I could add some spikes or something here. And, spray paint it black and all of that. We'll see where the design takes us, but that's the idea anyway. So yeah, hope you're all excited about that. And yeah, let's just get into it. So first things first, I need to wipe this down. I've had my lantern hanging up for a while and it's a little bit dusty, so I want to make sure that it's nice and clean for the clay to adhere and paint and all of that. And I sprayed my frosted glass spray onto it. I did a couple of coats of this, one off camera, just to make sure that it was really covered well. I don't know if you guys remember my little Lazy Susan that I bought a while back. I love it for sculpting, it's really handy. And I just pop a little piece of wood on top of it so I can turn the thing around while I'm sculpting. You could probably use polymer clay for this because it's a metal object and it could go into the oven if it needed to, but I decided to go for Apoxy Sculpt for this one. And the first step was to create 4 little balls that were the same size because I want to make sure that my feet are similar in size at least. And I just wrapped the clay around the feet so that it would stay on really well. If your lantern doesn't have feet, you could probably still get away with adding some feet onto it, but you'd probably have to create the feet and then attach them, or have it upside down while you sculpt and wait for it to get hard before you turned it back around. And I'm actually using some wax sculpting tools here. which I really like, so I'll try and link something like that in case anyone wants to buy anything like that. I feel like these are somewhere between a hand and a foot, to be honest. And I decided to put some fur on it, probably partly so that it made it a bit easier to sculpt, because sculpting hands and feet is tricky, and I am not the most accomplished sculptor. I am still learning, so this was a good way to hide some crimes, but also I liked the idea of them being little hairy feet, like little monster feet. I decided to make these like tentacle things coming out the top, almost like there was a rose bush growing on this that had gone a bit feral and become enchanted or something. And I did toss up whether to use some glass little cabochons on here, but I decided against that in the end. Now I've got a stash of polymer clay and porcelain flowers that I've used here. You can get these pretty easily. I'll try and link a few options down below. You can also make these out of polymer clay as well, but for the sake of time, because I am trying to do a lot of videos this month, I definitely wanted pre-made ones. And in this leaf mold, I had a couple of leaves that I felt like looked like rose leaves, so in two different sizes. So I decided to use those and have them hanging over the side of the top here. I really loved the way this looked. And then just a few vines hanging over the edge as well. Now you have to try and keep in your mind that these will be black. It can be a little bit difficult to really picture what it will look like in the end when you're going along if you've got coloured flowers, but just try and remember that they will be painted black in the end. And then I wanted vines going up the four sides of this piece, so I've rolled out the clay as much as I can. I did try and do a couple of vines on each one. One would be a little bit thinner than the other vine, just to add a bit more of a natural look. And again, with vines, try not to be too even about how they go up or move, because they will be a little bit random. So try and keep that in mind when you're positioning the vines. You also do need to press them against the surface a little bit for the clay to adhere, otherwise it doesn't really adhere. Eventually it will dry hard, obviously, and it doesn't matter, but just while it's drying, I just pressed it slightly. I didn't want to press too hard so that the vine was flat, but you know, just so that it had a bit of stick. And you've got to do the same on either end of the vine as well to make sure it sticks and smooth it out. I did need to test as well to make sure that the glass would still fit in here, because that would be a problem. So before it dried, I did pop that back in just to check. And then I added a couple of roses here and there on the rest of it, trying not to go overboard here. I just wanted a couple of little dots of roses, and I had a couple of sizes, so to make it a bit more natural I used a couple of sizes there. Now when you're spray painting something like this, you will need to come at it from all different angles, and probably do it 3 or 4 times at different angles, because as much as you think you have everything done, you'll turn it over and you'll notice a whole lot of stuff that you didn't cover because of the angle that it was at. So I did have to spray paint it a number of times. And then I've really wanted to use dual tone colours here, so I tried not to put too much white in any of the colours. I went in with some nice deep reds to start with, and then a more vibrant red, and then this beautiful green. I did need to add a little bit of white to start adding some accents, highlights to the roses to make them pop, but I was trying to be a bit careful about how much white was in there, just to keep those really vibrant colours. And for the green, I started off by adding yellow to really lighten the green, and then I did add a bit of white in the end just to highlight things, and I'm dry brushing mostly to get that texture onto the piece. It's quite a simple technique, nice and easy to do. But it does take a while to paint something like this to get into all the little nooks and crannies, so be patient, it will take you time. You also might find you need a couple of coats, so the green especially was a little bit patchy in places and needed a bit more building up, so that did take a while. I also did some dry brushing on the black with a dark grey as well, just to give it a bit more of a tonal difference. I didn't want it just purely gloss black. And then you just need to pop the light in. This does have a button, but it also has a remote control. So if you want to turn it on and off without opening up your lantern, you can, which is fantastic. I am so happy with how this came out. I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me do a spooky makeover onto this lantern, and I hope it's inspired you to do something like this yourself. You could also do images around the glass if you wanted to have a little spooky scene on there, but I decided not to do that for mine. Anyway, stay tuned for much more Halloween stuff from me. Hit subscribe if you want to see all of that. And for the rest of you, I'll see you next time in Faewood. Bye guys.